Good morning, good morning, good morning. Happy Saturday, y'all. Welcome to the Success Code Fireside Chats, where conscious leadership meets business and real talk. I'm your host, Lorna Sherland. And today I am super excited because I have with me today how do I introduce her? She is a phenomenon. That's how I'm going to introduce her as. She's a phenomenon. She's an Olympic athlete. She is a mom. She's an entrepreneur. And she's just an overall badass. But before we start our conversation with the one and only Marion Jones, how was your week? How did you make it this week? How did you make it this week? What was your challenge? How did you move through it? Because that's some of the stuff that we're going to talk about today. So for me, this week was a little bit challenging, but you know what? When you have self-leadership, I promise you, it makes it so much easier. So here's my question for you. Do you have a morning routine that you do every day, like without fail, whether you like it or not? Because if you don't, I'm going to encourage you to start one. And if you need one, I'm going to encourage you to reach out to me and let me help you. Okay? Because my morning routine is what got me through the entire week this week. And I don't know what I would have done without it, honestly. So now we're going to jump into our conversation with Marion Jones. Marion, welcome. Welcome to the show.
Hey. Thank you. Yeah, thanks so much for inviting me. I'm excited to chat with you and to all and to connect with your listeners.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for being here. So I wish my brother was on. I didn't text. Did I text? Oh, somebody's already on. Give me 1 second. My brother and I are fans of yours. And we watched you in the Olympics. Like we used to watch everything. Back then I was living in Jamaica. We used to watch everything that you did, girl. Everything. Like everything. I'm like, she is just a machine. So tell the audience a little bit about you, who you are, and then we're going to jump into the conversation.
Sure. I will just preface all of this by saying, as many times as I've been asked to describe my career and who I am still not even at a place where I'm like fully comfortable talking about myself, and I like that, and I'm okay with it, right? Mm-hmm. So there are many times where I have to revert to talking about myself in the third person because it gets old constantly talking about yourself. But most people, of course, know my storied history when it comes to sport. Just a brief description of my background. I am a California girl. I grew up in California, but my ties to the Caribbean are tight. My mom is from Belize and grew up with a solid work ethic. My mom and I realized at an early age, Lorna, that I was blessed with an enormous amount of physical talent. And so she made sure she got me involved in all kinds of sports, and I excelled in everything that I put my mind to, soccer and volleyball and track and field, or athletics as we call it, and basketball, so on and so forth. The age of 15, I made my first Olympic team. At the age of 17, I accepted a basketball scholarship to travel to the University of North Carolina. And I was a member of the school's only women's national championship team. I graduated and I missed the sport of track and field. I had dedicated so much of my college years to basketball that I missed it. And one of my dreams growing up was to be an Olympic champion. And not too long after I graduated from University of North Carolina, I achieved my dream. I was the fastest woman in the world. Success was coming my way very, very quickly. I was surrounding myself with, in retrospect, probably not the best people for me, and was distancing myself, Lorna, from people who would keep me honest. Let's just say that. Fame certainly took its toll on me and my career. And I made some really poor choices in my career that caused my world to turn upside down. And consequences were severe. But what I like to say, Lorna, now is that people used to know me for the medals, and I won a lot of them, the records, and how fast I was. But my real story did not begin there. And it began the day that I started to rebuild my life after I lost everything in front of the world, right? And I know that many of your listeners can relate in that, they have hard times.
Mm-hmm.
But imagine going through what many of us have gone through with the cameras and the video and all of that. I'm so grateful that social media was around.
I know, right?
That time. And so today, as you mentioned, I'm a mom. I have 3 kids. I have 1 still in the house. I'm a coach. I'm a speaker. But I'm someone who understands what it feels like to stand back up when you don't know if anyone is going to ever see you the same again. And for me, thankfully, fitness and discipline helped put the pieces of my life back together. So now that I help other people rebuild from the inside out. And that's also why I have so many different little projects that we will talk about during this time. And part of the rebuilding, Lorna, for me is unlearning all of the myths that we've been taught about success. So I'm excited to chat with you about all of this, because people think that success, trust me, I train enough entrepreneurs, and I think generally many of them think that success is a straight line.
Linear.
It's messy, it's uneven. And I even think that most of the important work happens in the dark, right? Not on the podium, not in the lights. And people think successful people don't struggle. And I am here to say, trust me, they do. I've been at the top. I've been at the bottom, and the struggle is present whether you're there at the top or the bottom. And the only difference is whether you keep showing up. And that's what I tell my clients. You just have to keep showing up. And people also believe that once you make it, you just stay there, that you're just always going to be successful. But success is really, it has to be maintained, just like our fitness.
Yes. Yes.
It's not permanent, Lorna, as you know. We just talked about it. It demands a certain amount of humility, a certain amount of growth, and you can lose it if you stop telling yourself the truth. So there are many different layers of this myth and success prism, and I'm excited to be able to touch on some of them today.
Yeah. Man, you said a mouthful just now. Mouthful. Oh my gosh. On so many levels. Success is not linear, right?
Yeah.
Successful people, they have problems, sometimes more than everybody else, because they're on a mission. So the question becomes, are you on a mission, right? But one of the things I want to ask you that came up for me when you shared all that just now is your success came when you were young, right? And a lot of times we don't, I know I didn't, and that's one of my regrets. I'm publicly saying this is one of my regrets, that I didn't, because I didn't know. So I didn't groom my son with a mindset that he gets to have to move through things earlier. So you were 15 to 20, you were experiencing all this success. Tell me the difference between how you manage your mind now and how you manage your mind then, because you also talked about you weren't hanging around with such, good people who could have given you instruction and direction in other areas, right? So how did you manage your mind at such a young age with the success that you were experiencing? I'm just curious.
Well, I'll tell you, Lorna, I am so blessed to have been the product of such an amazing mother, who did not accept anything but a disciplined household, right? And when you're a child and you're in it, you hate it, right? You think that you're the only family on the block that has to do things a certain way, right? And there's a certain amount of resentment that becomes between you and your parents, or me and my mother. And there was definitely pushback, certainly during those times between 15 and even for me, 30, right? But now looking back, I'm so grateful for that direction from her. I'm so grateful for her example of grit and discipline and resilience, that before I even knew how much I was going to have to lean on those, it was already instilled in me, right? So, you know, I'm a believer. I believe that our path is orchestrated even before we're here. So my path and my bumps and the ups and the downs in my life were already manifested even before I was manifested, right? And so the idea that I had a mentor, a parent who accepted nothing but those words that I described: hard work, focus, discipline, doing hard stuff, being stretched. I got used to doing it at an early age, even though I pushed back. And so now, sitting here at 50 years old, proudly, I am so grateful to my mother for making it a non-negotiable in our house, right? When it came to my academics, when it came to my relationships, when it came to my athletics, and it fed into everything, and it caused a lot of hard moments with my mother during that core time. But I would rather that, and to see the light now, as opposed to her being my best friend when I was a kid. You know, so, like, that is really, even with some of the parents that I rub elbows with now who have kids my age, and I hear their conversations about their relationships with their kids, and they're like their kid's best friend. And I'm just sitting there like, I have a best friend. That's my age. I don't need my kid to be my best friend. I don't need for them to like me. And I just stand on the example that I have. My mom was not my best friend growing up, but now she's the most respected person in my life. Right? And I'd rather have that and be where I'm at with the work ethic that now is second to none. There are so many people, Lorna, in this world that have better skills at me than different things, in different things, right? But I will tell you, I will go down fighting, arguing that there's nobody's work ethic that is better than mine.
Yeah. Right? So I love that you're saying that. I love that you're saying that because I want you to go back and really, let's talk about discipline, because the discipline is what I'm hearing is your superpower, right? Because a lot of times we say we are disciplined, but we have challenges in different areas of our lives, right? How do you maintain discipline in all areas of your life? Because, you know, women get to hear this, because they get to hear that they don't get to, when you're not disciplined, it's kind of like you've given up on yourself, right?
Yeah.
What do you say about that?
Yeah. Well, I think for me, Lorna, it's never been about being perfect. Okay. Right. It's not this characteristic that's always loud. It's certainly not glamorous, and it's not something that's, well, I actually post about it, but I think generally people overlook it. They don't post and share about it. To me, it's very, very quiet. It's in the small choices that I make every day when nobody's paying attention. It's getting up when you don't feel like it. It's finishing what you said you're going to finish. It's all of those, like keeping all these little promises that you made to yourself. And when things went so awry in my life, discipline was my anchor in all of it. When everything else felt like chaotic and all of the structure for years of my training, the discipline gave me something solid to hold on to when everything was going crazy in my life. And it reminded me that even if I can't change the past, I still had some control over what was next. And that's the part, Lorna, that people forget, because it's about, discipline is about trust. When you show up consistently, you start believing your own words again. That was a huge turning point for me, Lorna, realizing that I could still count on myself, even when nobody else wanted to hear from me or believed in what I was saying. And so even now with other areas in my life, in fitness, right? That to me, that's an easy one, but I know that's not for everybody. Discipline isn't about pushing harder every day. It's about just showing up on some days, even if the workout is short or your energy's low. That's where the real strength builds, both mentally, Lorna, and physically. And in business and in leadership, discipline to me, it looks like preparation. It looks like clear communication with your clients and the public. And lastly, follow through. I think people trust leaders who are consistent. They're not chaotic. They're not all over the place. And discipline is a nice steadying of your voice. It's not about perfection. You can mess up, you can regroup and still be disciplined. Perfection sometimes is what breaks people. Discipline is what builds
the problem.
You know, I think every comeback, and I talk a lot about the past few years, I've talked a lot about the comeback, particularly for me, and just generally teaching people how to, and it relies on discipline, not emotion, not hype. Discipline is what is going to carry you through the days when you doubt yourself, right? Which even happens with me sometimes, or if you wonder if you're going to do it right.
Right.
Without it, you're going to stay stuck. With it, you're going to move forward, even if it's slow, but you're always going to be moved forward. So like today, discipline is the through line in everything that I do, whether it's my nutrition, whether it's being a mom, coaching people. And really, as somebody who's rebuilding in real time, it's the foundation of everything that I do. And some of the things even that we're going to talk about today, because even at the end of the day, Lorna, it's the one thing that nobody can take from you. So
it's the one thing nobody can take from you, and it's also the one thing that nobody can create for you, right?
Yes,
nobody can create it,
which is the hard part, right? Which is the hard part. Like even in coaching, right? And as you know, I've been around some incredible coaches, even personal coaches to me, and coaches that I do business with. And you could be the MVP business coach, Nobel Peace Prize business coach. But if you as the client, or you as the person who are paying for all of this information, don't make the decision that really it's on you,
nothing is going to happen.
It'll be the biggest waste of money.
Not happening. I love that. I have so much to ask you. So I want to talk about inner work, because I know that's one of your things now. You're really going public with the inner work part of it. And I know that piece is the second piece to the discipline is the inner work, right? Like you gotta make time to do it, right? Because it actually, for me personally, inner work stabilizes my nervous system. Stabilizes my nervous system. Because what I find is, if the nervous system isn't stabilized, that's when you have the scattered brain. You don't have a plan. You don't follow through on. If you have a plan, you don't follow through on it, and all those consequences of not doing the inner work. So let's go there. Right now.
I love that, Lorna, because it's the part that most people, I think, skip because it's not visible. You can lift weights, you can run miles, you can hit every goal that you have on paper. But if you're, like you said, your nervous system is overloaded, or if you're living in a fight or flight, you're not going to be really healing. You're just performing strength. You're not living it. And I had to learn that the hard way for a long time. I was so focused on being strong on the outside that I never paused long enough to see what was happening on the inside. And the inner work forces us to slow down, and it makes us sit with our stuff, and it makes us sit with our truth. It's hard to regulate our emotions and calm our nervous system that's been operating in survival mode for years. And you have to make time for that. It doesn't happen by accident. And for me, it looked like, over the past 10 years, it looked like quiet mornings, breath work, honest reflection, therapy, journaling, allowing my body to finally come out of that on alert state that so many of us live in. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's not soft and it's not optional. It has to be the foundation that keeps everything else from collapsing in our life, Lorna, because if our nervous system isn't settled, you can't think clearly, you can't lead clearly, you can't rebuild from any grounded place. The outer work, the training, the discipline, that's just the expression of it all, right? But the inner work is what changes you, which is so important.
Yeah, that is foundational for me. It's actually my compass and my body, because here's the thing. I teach people your body is a conduit of consciousness. If you've been in my world, you hear me say that all the time. You probably didn't understand what I mean, but this is what I mean. Like your body is going to tell you like where you are. Your body is going to locate you. I also say that your language will locate you. Well, when your body's talking to you, your language will always say what your body is saying. You just got to be aware of it and listening. And that's part of the inner work. So if you're not taking time to really sit with yourself and really think about what you're doing, who you're doing it for, why you're doing it, all the things, then you're just on a hamster wheel. I've been there, y'all. Yeah. And first of all, it's too much energy, number one. I love the word you used about performing. I want to talk a little bit more about that because I find that as entrepreneurs, we're always in this performance mode, which is why I say on this show, we don't perform. This is real talk. Y'all gonna get it like it is. Y'all not gonna get no shifted energy. We're not doing that. If you want to do that, you can go watch another show or watch another replay. But we want real talk because the real talk, when you tell yourself the truth, that's the fastest way to win.
And a lot of us, many of us live in that performance mode without even realizing it, right? So I don't want it to make it seem like your character is lower because we do it without even realizing. It's a state where we're constantly on, or we're constantly having to manage how we're seen. And even more so during this heightened social media where everything is recorded and put out for everybody to see. It looks strong from the outside, but inside you're exhausted. And this performance mode, it kept me alive in my career. So it did its job then, but it also kept me disconnected from myself. Yeah. And what I've learned is that you can only live in that state for only so long before it's going to break you. It's survival. It's not stability. And it's you running on adrenaline, perfection, pressure, fear of disappointing people, which is big. And the crazy part is you can be winning publicly and you can still be drowning internally. Yeah. And for me, the real shift happened when I learned how to step out of that mode and be in the present. Yeah. And it meant calming my nervous system, slowing my breathing, listening to my body. But mainly of all of those, the most important part and the most important piece is giving myself permission to be human and to not be a machine, which is really, really tough if you think about it, as I was paid millions of dollars to be a machine. And now I realize, Lorna, that the truth in it all, the part of it that's going to be everlasting is the part that is not being a machine, really, and when you stop performing and start living from a grounded place, I'm going to tell you your decisions will change. Your relationships are going to change. Your leadership is going to change. Your business is going to change, and your strength is going to become real and not rehearsed. That mode, it might get you some success. I'm a living example of that, but it's not going to keep you healthy.
It can. It can't. And this is why, y'all, I'm telling you, Marion, I'm so glad you're here to tell the truth. Because this is why a lot of people are sick.
Yes.
And they're wondering what the hell. Oh, do you know how many entrepreneurs I talk to and they tell me, oh, I'm going to the doctor. What you going to the doctor for? Well, my heart rate is elevated or some other weird thing they're feeling in their body. And the doctor is doing all these tests and coming back and telling them, ain't nothing wrong with you. We can't find anything. Why? Because it's your nervous system that's offline.
Yeah.
That's it. Or if you have some emotion that you're not dealing with.
And you want people want the quick fix, right? Yeah. They want that pill, like give me the pill so I can lose the weight, right? Or just give me the guidebook on how to become a successful entrepreneur, right? And sure, you could take every class, you could take every amount of medicine, but if you're not like being present and learning to regulate yourself, it's the part of the comeback that people don't see, but it's the part that actually is going to save us.
Yeah. It is. I know it's saved me once before and it's saving me again. So I'm an attestment. It will save you. It will save you. It will save your body. It will save your sanity. I promise you. All right, Marion, I want to jump in a little bit more into leadership because I don't know if you know this about me, but that's one of my superpowers is guiding people back to self-leadership, right? And it's kind of like what we've been talking about up until now, but I want to go a little bit deeper because coming from corporate America, before I got into the world of transformation, I always said to the point where I actually wrote an ebook on self-leadership because I came from corporate America where leadership was outside. It was somebody leading me. It was the boss. It was the CFO. It was the corporate executive. It was all the exterior ideas of leadership that I grew up on, right?
And the antiquated ideas.
Yeah, the pastor. The pastor is my leader. If the pastor says, I gotta tell you, my mom is still there with that one. I'm working on her now.
hey, sometimes you pick your battles, Lorna. You pick your battles.
Absolutely. But I want to talk a little bit about that because I think that a lot of entrepreneurs, and you and I have been in some circles, and I see where people depend on the leader, quote unquote, meaning the person leading the program, like church, and not leading themselves. How do you think we can support the audience to really step into self-leadership and really make that work for them?
Yeah, well, self-leadership, but for me today, it looks nothing like it did in the past. Back then I depended on, I'll use my personal example, coaches, managers, organizations, like even the crowd. I allowed them to define who I was and how I moved. And I let other people's approval lead me. And when that approval disappeared, like so did my sense of direction. And a lot of us grow up thinking that leadership is something, like you said, that comes from the outside, a pastor, a boss, a parent. And we wait to be told what to do, or we depend on somebody else's confidence to push us forward. But I believe, Lorna, that the truth in it is that you can't build a sustainable life that way. And at some point, you're going to have to graduate from borrowed leadership to what we're talking about now, which is self-leadership. It's you telling the truth about your life. It's you owning your decisions. It's setting your own standards. Listening to your inner voice instead of the noise around you, and understanding that discipline and boundaries, honesty are part of the package, which makes it hard, right? Which makes it, you see people who are ultra successful later on in their life, and you're like, why, how? And what I've learned is if you don't lead yourself, you're always going to be waiting for somebody else to rescue you, to validate you, right? Or even to direct you. And that's how people end up stuck. Today, my leadership, Lorna, it starts with me. It's how I show up. every day in the morning, on my training, on the interviews, in my podcast. It's how I show up. It's how I regulate my emotions, how I take responsibility before I take advice. And so when you lead yourself well, you're not going to follow people blindly. And you're going to learn to choose your path with a certain amount of clarity. And you don't collapse when somebody else's voices goes quiet, or if they're super aggressive or loud towards you, because you've learned to trust your own and you don't need anybody else's, right?
Yeah.
And this is not to say, I don't want people who are listening to get this twisted, right? We need people, right? We need people to learn and to grow, and advice is good, and classes and seminars, it's all good stuff, right? The more information, the better, right? But don't be so led or blinded by what one person says, right? Take that information and process it in your own quiet way, and then come up what's best for you and your life.
Yeah. I love that. I love that, because it's I think in the world that we're in the online space, it's a huge challenge. And it's one of the reasons why I'm starting a new program, actually, because I think that women get to have support to learn how to manage their emotions, manage their self-leadership, manage their bodies, manage their life, because that's the order, right?
And it needs to be all of it, right? Like, I am a part of a program that teaches balancing business strategies, entrepreneurial leadership, and your movement and your body and your mindset. And it's very, very difficult to find success in any of them if not all of them have a sense of balance, right? Mm-hmm. There's always going to be one that tips the scale a little bit more than the other, but you can't have this, right, and everything you want business-wise in the bank account, and the rest of your life, relationships, and your physical be trash. It's not going to be good. And that's an easy way to put it. It's not going to be good. Balance is the recipe for success.
Yeah. And there's that myth out there that says there's no such thing.
Say that again. There's no such thing as
balance.
Right.
There's a myth that there's no such thing as balance. Well, if you're not experiencing homeostasis in your life, then there is a such thing as balance, because there's a reason why there's that word homeostasis, right? I think we beat this horse to death, don't you think? With the idea of y'all get to get disciplined, y'all get to get your self-leadership going, and do the inner work to get your body and your mind online, so that you can hear yourself and lead yourself in a way that you want to lead. You got to have a vision for your life. And I think that's one of the things that's missing for a lot of people, is that the vision for their life is missing. So because the vision is missing, there's no guidepost for them to lean into, right? There's nothing that's helping them when they're off track to go back on track, because that's the mission. Because
I think so many coaches, they speak about vision, and I've heard them, and they talk of it, Lorna, like it's a sort of dream board. But I really think that vision is a direction. It's a type of clarity. It's deciding who you want to become and how you want to live, not just what you want to achieve. And people, I think, get that twisted too often. It's you start saying no with confidence. You start choosing your relationships and habits and environments that line up with where you're going.
Absolutely.
Again, pointing the finger at myself, for me, rebuilding my vision, it meant stripping everything down and asking, okay, Marion, like, what matters now? Yeah. What feels true to you now? Who am I becoming now? And the part, again, that nobody wants to see or do is it required honesty, and it requires humility, and it requires a willingness, Lorna, to let the old version of me go, the one that I most understand and get. And you're telling me that I got to let it go? Yes, because you don't wait for it. You have to create it. You have to sit down with yourself. You have to do the inner work that we talked about, but you have to pay attention to what's draining you versus what strengthens you. You have to listen to your body. You have to listen to your values. Oh my gosh, Marion, this is too much work. This is too much work. But when people get clear on it, Lorna, they're going to stop. You're going to stop. You're going to find yourself stopping drifting.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I love you. That's my favorite word. But when you really, really get this, I hope y'all listen to this. And if y'all need to listen to this stuff again, because Mary's using some words that you probably haven't heard in a long time. Drift, right? Drifting is you taking on somebody else's vision, right? Like, and not your own to get there. You've got to get there. Marion, I want to be mindful of time with you because I know you have a hard stop. So I want to get into some little fun things, because one of my friends said to me to ask you this question.
Okay.
You have a lot of fans, okay? Just so you know. You still have a lot of fans. So he wanted me to ask you, all the athletes out there that are still your friends, are they really nice people? For real? Like, they show up on social media, they look so nice, they're always smiling. I'm not going to use the name. I'm not going to use the name of the person he actually asked me to ask you, because that might not be
okay.
but
I will tell you that what you see generally on social media is very tainted. Right? I think I am not here to like pat myself on the back, but I found in my rebuilding phase, Lorna, that I 1000% had to be authentic and raw and real with my community and my followers. I owed them that, right? And so that's who I am, and is who I show up to be. Good, bad, ugly some days, hair not great, I'm makeup less, is who I am, right? Not everybody, most people I don't show up like that on social media. So I think to start when you are the viewer, to start by knowing that, okay? And that many of these people though, also, like, this is their livelihood, and they have bills to pay, families to raise, and the companies that pay them need a certain influencer. Okay, so you've got to look at it from that lens as well. But to answer the question, like, at this point in my life, my village is very tight, is very small. I've learned the hard way. That's the best way to do it. It's my opinion. Okay. And so if I have friends who are former athletes and I still connect with them, they are good humans. They're not always nice, right? Like, I don't want somebody who's always nice. They're good people at heart, and that's what gravitates me towards them. And so, but to answer the question, and I kind of maybe know a couple of people that they're referencing in terms of current athletes, and I don't know a lot of them. Understand, I'm 50 years old now, and who you see competing right now, like, these kids are 20, 25, so I don't even know them, right? Okay. But the athletes that grew up in my time and who are my age, they were a fun bunch to be around. Right.
That's good to know.
We grew up in a time whereby you competed, you worked hard, you trained hard to get out usually of a environment or a system to make it for your family, right? And so the first thing was hard work and laser vision. And sometimes that looks like, man, they're mean, or, they didn't sign my autograph, or, they didn't wave at me, or whatever that looks like. But the people whom I consider friends now at the core are good people. And I'm okay if they're not always nice, because especially in this day and time, Lorna, many times the nice ones get trampled on. So
yeah. The nice ones get trampled on, or the nice ones are the dangerous ones. But anyway,
right. Yes.
So here's the other question I wanted to ask you before we got off, because this has been my burning question. I hope it doesn't bring back any, negative thing for you, but I am just curious, because I follow Jamaican track and field up to a point, right? I don't know them all because, like you said, I'm way older than the ones that are coming up now, right?
Yeah.
But I just wanted to hear your opinion on back then when you got reprimanded, for lack of a better word, for not telling the truth, right? You got reprimanded for not telling the truth, and you got such a harsh penalty for it. What do you say about the idea that current athletes get a slap on the wrist for the same thing nowadays? I have a problem with that.
Yeah, I've been asked the question, and it doesn't take me to a negative place at all. So don't worry. I've been asked it. I honestly, I asked a lot of my fans. Not only asked a lot of myself back then, but I asked a lot of my fans, right? And I put myself in a space on a pedestal because of who I was, right, on the track, and whom I tried to be with people, right? And when you do that, you are so high here that if there's a poor choice made, you do something wrong and you let down the world, naturally people are going to feel like they take it personal. Right? Like I meet people, Lorna, like all the time, or on social media, or if I'm traveling or in the airport, where people like tell me, like, Marion, I was like personally devastated when you got in trouble, right? And I've had to process that over the years, right? And for a while, Lorna, I was like, wow, like you really did take it to heart. I mean, and again, I go back and forth. Well, Marion, you wanted it. You wanted to be in people's living rooms. You were the girl next door. You were our little sister. You were our big sister. We put all of everything we wanted to be in life in your lap, and you let us down. And when I look at it from that perspective, I understand. But in comparing what certain athletes, particularly myself, had to go through, and the consequences that we face, that I face, let me not say we, because I was absolutely used as an example. That's what the judge shared when he handed down my consequence, that Marion, you were going to be the example. Compared to athletes today, I don't look at it like that. I don't think, well, wow, I got it so much harder than what they're doing today. The way I look at it is I go back to being grateful and thankful for certain things. I'm grateful for a mother who instilled certain armor in me and strengths that I can get through anything, as hard as it might be, right? And so instead of me taking negative energy to say, oh, they got this and I got this and they got this, I say, well, I am the most blessed because I am a product, I am a seed of the most incredible woman who has not only produced me and what I've become in this life and in this world, but through me with my kids, whom I see, again, spreading this incredible energy and goodness into the world. And it's just going to go on and on and on. So to answer your question, Lorna, I don't spend time on that stuff, comparing and all that, because I am all about forward movements, right? And I get it, the need to give context with certain things, and especially now, all of this happened with me like pretty much 30 years ago. If you can, like 25, 30 years ago, that's crazy. So there's a huge population that don't even know some of the nuances of my story. And so having to give it context is important, but also like forward, like what does tomorrow look like? How can what I share now and my message of resilience and comeback and all that, how can that be applied to even the current stars? And a lot of them need some mentorship, and they need direction, and they need somebody in their corner who's not going to pat them on the back, tell them everything they want to hear, Lorna, but somebody who's going to be like X, Y, and Z. Okay, back up here a second. right? Everybody out there thinks that you're this and you're this and you're great and you're this, but let's get to the root of it. Like, what's going on? Why are you making some odd, poor choices? There's something in there that we need to get in before this wave, and this is how I describe it, Lorna, this wave takes you further and further out where there's no foundation, there's no footing. And so now you're just swimming. And what happens after a while when you're deep out in the ocean? You'll get tired, right? And you start making poor choices and mistakes and going under, swimming too hard until hopefully eventually you don't drown, right?
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully you
there's nothing to hold on to. Yeah.
Nothing to hold on to. So thankfully, right? Like I tell people that I am grateful for my consequences because it forced me to get pulled back onto to solid foundation, to pause, to work on my inner self and to figure out who I was beyond sport, right? Because, hey, y'all, there is a very, very intelligent woman here, right? Who has all those things and wonderful qualities, even if I wasn't the fastest woman in the world. So
absolutely. You're still human.
Go on and on about all
You're
that.
still human. All right. We're at time. So listen, I want you to tell people what you have coming up. Because I know you have some juiciness coming up. I don't know when it's coming. I think it's in the beginning of the year or something. Yeah. What's going on?
So I think a lot of my followers and fans know that movement and fitness is very important in my life, and I think that it should be consistent in everyone's life, regardless of where you're at. You could have low mobility, you could have medical issues. Your doctor, and I'm not one, will always recommend movement, right? And so I love that. I'm also a personal trainer, as we all know. And my clients over the years, I've been doing it now for over a decade. My clients have, their feedback is that, like, we want access to you, Marion. Like we want to be able to train with you, not train with me, but be trained by me. There are certain strengths that I have based off of my experiences as an athlete, my experience as what I'm saying, a comeback queen, a resilience expert. And I tie that all into fitness. And so at the start of the new year, I'm creating my own fitness app whereby anybody, all fitness levels, can train with me live. They could also follow my strength programming and see me several times a week. And, I show up how you are, as you are. Whatever your life is right now, just show up, right? If it's a 45-minute workout, maybe you only have time for 15 minutes, or maybe you could only do 15 minutes, or maybe you have to do it from a chair, or maybe you're an experienced athlete like me who struggles with some physical knees and shoulders and all kinds of stuff, and you're trying to find that drive that made you unstoppable when you were young. This is the community that I'm building right now that I'm so excited about, that we plan to launch at the beginning of the new year, that everyone will have access to. The app is called MJEP, and it stands for Marion Jones Elite Performance. It is a fitness app, but it is so much more than that, Lorna. I'm passionate about it because it's more than just workouts. I'm building this space where people can rebuild from the inside out. It blends movement, it blends mindset, it blends accountability in a way that reflects my own comeback, and that is different from any other fitness app out there. It's going to be designed for people who are needing structure, who are needing support, and they're needing a coach who understands what starting over really feels like.
Yeah,
in this, I'm going to be sharing updates on my social until the official launch. So follow me on all of my social media handles. Obviously, I love it. I love to train people. Lorna, you have, I hope, benefited from it for a number of months now. I've gotten a chance to train Lorna myself. She's quite the star, but I think, Lorna, you can maybe even talk for a moment about my type of coaching. People are like, what? Wait, what? She's going to actually coach? Like she's going to what? Yeah. And I think maybe just for a second, tell them what I do, who I am, what makes it potentially a little bit different. Not to put you on the spot or anything.
No, I was going to tell them anyway. So for me, coaching with you over the last year, you actually said all the words, right? The structure. It's structured. And one of the things I loved about that environment is that what you said about you could be in any season of your life, right? Because we had people who were like 20 up to 80.
Yes.
Y'all. So if you can't move, if you needed to do it on the chair, one of the things I love about how Marion coaches in fitness is the fact that she makes it, she gives you alternate movements if you can't do certain things. So really and truly, there's no excuse for you not to have the experience and the result for what you're looking for.
Yeah, sorry. And I just wanted to throw in, I didn't share this. People are always like, well, you know, these celebrity fitness apps, and there are a lot of them out there, are so expensive that I couldn't do it. And again, I am creating this from a space of being authentic and raw and real. And I am so passionate about everybody needing this that I've created in a way where everybody will be able to do it, right?
Yeah.
And it will take, you know, consistency. If you go to Starbucks twice or even once a week, you will be able to do this.
Yeah,
you'll be able to do this.
Here's the other piece I want to add into this, because I think this is important. If you think that you can't, you can, because she's going to show you how you can. I want to make that clear, because a lot of people come into the environment and they're like, oh, I can't do this. Oh, I'm not going to do this. I mean, to the point where if you don't have a weight, use the bottle. If you do something that's going to move you forward. And the other piece I wanted to say is a lot of the fitness apps, the celebrity fitness apps out there, Marion is different in this way, I believe. They don't create alternatives for you. They don't meet you where you're at. You either do what they say in their app or there's no option. So I think this app is going to be really different in that sense, because she's creating alternatives for you. So
and very few of them, and to wrap it up, but very few of them offer kind of as a reward for your consistency in the week. No, you're not. I'm not going to be able to train you live every day, right? But if you're consistent throughout the week, occasionally you would be able to hop in maybe a small group. I'm offering small groups, which will be 10 or less people. Of course, it'll be a little bit more. But on the weekend, on a Saturday morning, I love a Saturday morning workout, butt kicking, live. You can join me live. You can turn your camera on. You can turn it off. I know a lot of people, because of the pandemic, they don't like virtual training. I get it, right? But think of it more than just the physical. Think about, if you've heard this conversation in full, right? You know that even if you were just to sit down and just to listen to me speak and share and talk and how passionate I am and how motivating, and I don't gotta pat this is just who I am, right? Even if you don't lift a weight, you tell me that you're not going to get something out of a 45-minute session with me. Even if you're traveling, if you're on a plane, if you're in a car and you log in, I promise you it will be worth your time.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. I'm excited about it. Again, look for all of the updates on all of my social media handles. I'm sure, Lorna, you will share those with people. If you're not connected with me, pop in Facebook, TikTok, Instagram. I'm all over the place.
As long as your nervous system is calm, you're good. All right. So, y'all, we've come to the end of the show today. This has been super exciting. And thank you for being real, Marion. Thank you for being real, because that's what I think is missing in the world right now. There's so much pontificating and, all the drama. I'm not into it. So thank you for being real. Thank you for bringing your vulnerability, your honesty here to the show. And before we hop off, I just want to ask you, give me in one sentence, what do you want the woman who is coming back from a breakup, a breakdown in a marriage, whatever, a breakdown in a business, what's the one thing that you want to share with her that will empower her today?
Oh, I love that question. I want people to know that your setback in life doesn't have to be a hard stop for you. I want people to know that they're not by themselves in their hard times. They're not by themselves in their good times, but that's easy to see, right? All over social media. Everybody's good times. Everybody's showing how successful they are and what a great life they are, right? But I want people to know that there is a community of people who struggle like them, who wake up on some days uncertain what their path is, what direction they should be going in. So the first thing, Lorna, is for them to know that they are not by themselves. And with whatever they're going through, I promise you there's somebody else out there, or many people who are going through it and who have been through it, right? And that you wake up and you tell yourself, today can and will be a better day, right?
Yeah.
How do I do that? Stay centered, stay focused, stay authentic, stay true to yourself, work on the inner stuff, the hard stuff, right? Learning to set boundaries, learning to say no, and put you first. Many times, particularly when we're talking about women and mothers and wives, learning to put yourself first. It's okay. Right? And if you want your kids, if you want your partners to excel, flourish, be okay, you need to be okay first.
Yeah, love that.
Like this is a new generation of us strong women, right? And we need to like finally take the bull by the horns and say, you know what? I got to be okay first. Whatever that looks like, right? Yeah. My body has to be okay. I have to be healthy and strong and have energy to face all these demons that come at me all day and every day. But then even beyond that, like I want my kids to be healthy. They need to see somebody who's healthy.
Yeah.
Right? They need to see a mother or a parent who's in a relationship that's healthy.
Yeah, be the example, right?
If it's not, then that's a major problem. So again, I think what I want the takeaway to be is you're not by yourself. You're seen, right? And you're part of a larger group of people who are supporting you, loving you, praying for you, right? Knowing that you can get out of it. Your setback does not have to be a hard stop. It doesn't have to be the end. Your comeback can be even bigger than it was before.
Yeah. Beautiful. Beautiful. Well, that is it for this week's show. We're going to have you come back because
definitely
you have a lot to say, woman. You have a lot to say. So thank you for being here again. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being, again, vulnerable and clear and clean and concise. Thank you for being you. And I want to thank the audience for being here. There were a bunch of people who are popping on. I see a few people in the studio chat. I don't know what's going on over here. I will check when I hang up. But I want to thank the audience who has been here over the show time here. And I want to thank all the people who are watching on the replay. You will have the links to connect with Marion, which will be below this video on YouTube, and you can reach out to her on social media channels. And I want to encourage you to do the work, do the inner work, reach for support, and at the end of the day, just be you. All right, I'll see y'all next week. Have a good one.
Yeah, thank y'all. Bye.